Hi, thank you for tuning in to Bright Ideas. I am Jessica Duemig, the host, and I am here today with Alan Gooch. Alan is the CEO of the Orlando Sports Foundation and executive director of the Cure Bowl right here in Orlando, Florida. Hi, Alan, or AG as I like to call you. How are you?
I'm great, Jessica. JD, as I like to call you, my friend in college football that is on the wrong side of the war on I-4. I'll
Okay,
just bring that up.
okay.
Let's just get that out there right now.
We got it out there.
It's great that we can be adversaries yet work together, right?
It is true. I tend to ignore the gold and black part of your being. See that national championship banner behind you that we
Sure,
won't talk
sure,
about.
sure, sure,
Oh
sure.
my. So, well, we've alluded to it already. Let's start
Absolutely. Let's
there.
just go right at it. But thank you for having me. Certainly
Of
appreciate it.
course.
Love supporting you and what you're doing out there. Um, I'm sure as your listeners know that you're a very important part of what we do because of what you've been through. You're a cancer survivor, a breast cancer survivor. I love your passion for what we are doing, but I love what you're doing out in the sports business world, period. So I want to give my my thanks to you for what you do out there, and so I'm happy to be a part of whatever you're doing.
Well, thank you for that. And so everybody knows, I am the producer and manage game presentation for the Cure Bowl in Orlando. It's part of College Bowl season. And I've been doing that now for 4 years. I think 4 years as the organizer of it, and then 3 years actually producing. I brought in a proxy last year because of some scheduling conflicts, but really, really cool game to be a part of. I love that. How did you take us through your bio? How did you get to this point where you are?
From beautiful
Yeah,
Clearwater, Florida, to Orlando,
I
Florida.
always forget that. I
So
always forget
I
where.
was a Clearwater Tornado back in the day, and
Okay.
wanted to extend my high school football to playing football and college football. And as you know, there's a lot of opportunities, and so I was happy to be able to come to UCF to play football. I had always wanted to be a coach as well. So while I was there at UCF, got my degree in education and then my master's degree in exercise physiology. So that as a coach, I could say, hey, you're going to run a lap, and this is why it's good for you. So you need those you need that exercise physiology background. So I
The
could,
anti-veto, as I call it in sales.
yeah, yeah, justifying all of my instruction. So
Nice.
yeah, but it's been great. So I was able to. And I don't want to be posing as a Division I football player. UCF is obviously a Big 12 conference member, and when I was playing at UCF, we were a Division II independent, and so I was a Division II football player. I don't want to pass myself off as a Division I athlete.
You're the only one in the history that would actually make that designation.
Yeah,
Clarification.
I love playing, the big three. I played football, basketball, baseball, but I was loved playing, but I was not a great athlete. I was a hard worker and a grinder. I certainly was gonna hit you if I could. That's why I played the game instead of these pretty boy quarterbacks and wide receivers. And wanted
What
to play the
position did you
game
play?
because, yeah, you put it defensive back. I was a
Oh,
defensive
there you
back.
go.
Did return some punts as well, but yeah, I played the game for the very reason that football was invented. Is to tackle people, right? So I'm a Clearwater Tornado. Then I was a UCF Knight and a proud UCF Knight, still involved in the program. Coached there for 25 years. My wife is still the spirit coordinator at UCF. She's
Wow.
putting in her 42nd year,
Oh my
5 national
goodness.
championships, all that good stuff. So
Wow.
we
Okay.
we kind of poured our life into UCF. Like a lot of coaches, it's hard to be. It's certainly in one spot for 25 years, but uh, I was there, and when a new athletic director came in, made a move, I did not want to pick up and move the family. Was able to get involved and stay involved in college football. I was the executive director of the Golden Knights Club at the time, named Golden Knights Club at the time at UCF. We had a great run, was also a great team. And I know that your podcast is a lot about teams and teams building, and loved doing that when I was in high school. I still have so many great memories of our locker room practice. The games were great. Those things kind of go quickly. What you really remember, and you probably have heard this before with athletes, is the hard practices, the summer workouts, the locker room, just the camaraderie, having to deal with losses, but it was great when you were able to celebrate in a locker room with a bunch of guys that you were all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
So was able to do that in high school football, college football. Was able to do that as a coach. I started out as a graduate assistant on the staff at UCF under Lou Saban. He was the first coach to hire me. No relation to Nick Saban, for all you young ones out there. Lou Saban actually at one time coached the Buffalo Bills and had O.J. Simpson in the backfield.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Coach Saban was the first to hire me. And then Gene McDowell came from Florida State. He was Bobby Bowden's longtime recruiting coordinator. And we really took what Coach Saban had done and to build the program. And then I became a full-time assistant, then worked under Mike Cruz. I was a longtime assistant under him. At the end, we had a new AD that came in and wanted to make a change, which isn't uncommon. And I was the interim head coach at the end. And after that, I decided to get into the administration part of college football. And then when ESPN called the then athletic director at UCF, Keith Tribble, looking to start another bowl game in Orlando, that's when I got the opportunity to put together another team. And so we put together a team of individuals to start a bowl. And we started with a bowling event and to campaign for a bowl game. And here we are 10 years under our belt with the Cure Bowl. And we've been able to achieve our goals of raising funds for cancer research. And we're $4.3 million right now into that press, and just very honored to be a part of the team of which you are a part of, Jessica,
Yeah.
that is coming together. That's our mission statement, bringing teams together to find a cure for cancer. And that's not just football teams, that's teams of people, volunteers, sponsors, you name it, community leaders. It's just been an honor to be a part of this.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You've held a lot of different titles, but really you're a builder. You've been a builder the whole time, right? You're building the defense, you're building the team that's playing and matriculating through the conferences from Division II all the way up to what is now the Big 12 inclusion there. Oh, it still hurts to say. It's so painful.
No, that's all right. You guys will get there.
Yeah, will we? We'll get there, yes, of course. But and then the Cure Bowl too. And I think what's really interesting about the Cure Bowl, which a lot of people don't know, is that 100% or very close to it of the proceeds of that game go to cancer research. So all the fundraising that you guys do, a ton, you said $4.3 million over 10 years, which is tremendous, goes to the UCF School of Medicine, correct?
Well, currently, a lot of our Orlando Sports Foundation events do that, but
Nice.
actually, it was to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, for example, in the first years. They did a great job of vetting out researchers, of which one that we introduced the Breast Cancer Research Foundation to was Dr. Annette Khalid, who was doing her research at the UCF College of Medicine, and now UCF's Cancer Research Center, of which the Orlando Sports Foundation, the organization that puts on the Cure Bowl, that operates the Cure Bowl with ESPN events. We are the largest private donor of the Cancer Research Center. It's something that we're very proud of. Before the bowl, there was no Cancer Research Center. Now there is a Cancer Research Center on campus at UCF. However, a net of all the money that has been raised for cancer research, not all of it has gone just to the UCF Cancer Research Center. I'm a football coach posing as a bowl guy. I certainly don't know who should be getting what when it comes to cancer research. We certainly needed a partner, and the Breast Cancer Research Foundation and their science board proved to be just the perfect partner in that regard. Larry Norton, who's the head of cancer research at Sloan Kettering in New York, is the head of BCRF's science board. They vetted out Dr. Khalid, not Alan Gooch, and which is a good thing. And once they did that, then we started directing a lot of our fundraising efforts to her as well, because she is the local face for cancer research in Central Florida.
Yeah, and it's tremendous. I was fortunate to attend an event you had at the opening, I believe, of that building, or very, very recently after the
Yes.
opening. And they actually put on some demos of what all that money is going toward. And it was so interesting for me, especially having been through cancer treatment and all that, to see live cancer cells and to talk to these students who are on the cutting edge of whatever is coming next. And I'm smart, but I'm not nearly smart enough to know this
That's
little
right.
thing goes here and that one goes there, and poof, it's
But
gone.
Jessica, but we're doing our part, right? You are a very talented game production person. And those smart students that you were speaking to at the UCF Cancer Research Center, they can't do it without our help. So we're shoveling
Very
cash
true.
into them. Everybody's doing their part to try to solve cancer, that's for sure. And you are a big part of that.
I love being a part of it. So,
Yeah.
question for you. So, obviously, football player, so on the field to the sideline to administration to the bowl world. That last one's a big jump, because college football has been its own little crazy system that everyone in it knows it, and you just keep going. The bowl world has gone through some massive changes, even over just the past 10 years. So talk us through how it's different, how you've adapted to it, and kind of what people should know about the bowl business. Because it
Well,
is a business. Everyone thinks it's
the
fun,
bowl.
but it's
Yeah, I mean the bowl business. I think for all of us that are anybody that's in entertainment, whether that's movies, music, sports, we're all storytellers, right? And so, I mean, that's what I've come to understand as a part of this. And the story that we're telling is that college football is important. Student athletes and their experience. That's one of the things that I loved about being a coach, was the opportunity to take a young man, in our case with college football, and be able to use that platform to get a degree, maybe even change lives, right? Or change family trees. I mean, I was the first person in our family to be able to have the opportunity to play college football, and my wife Linda as well, for to go to college. And so we understand the power of sports, certainly in college athletics, that it can improve lives and families. And so love that, and to be able to now do that and use that platform that is doing so much for student athletes, and the attraction of it in the United States of America, as we all know that follow entertainment. The only sport that has more viewership than college football is the NFL. So it's the NFL, then college football, and then Major League Baseball, NBA, hockey, soccer, PGA, all great, right? But there are rankings and there's popularity, and the popularity of college football stands only behind the NFL. And so for us to be able to use that platform to raise money for cancer research just takes it to another level, and it's truly the icing on the cake. So what you say is so true. It is something different, right? But it is entertainment, and so we're taking the platform of college football and raising money for cancer research. It just it makes me. I wake up every day looking at my wristband and how important it is, and I don't have a job. This is fun. This is fun to do every day.
Love to hear that. I think it's what's really cool, and it's interesting that you mentioned the NFL and the international aspect, or you mentioned the domestic piece of it.
Yep.
As the NFL expands internationally, it's been
Yep.
really interesting, because that interest in football as a sport
Yep.
is growing
Yep.
into
And
multiple.
and great point. And I don't want to forget something here, Jessica. You make a great point there. football in America is number one, but the world sport is actually soccer, right? So there are
Yeah,
more people when the World Cup's on, there are more people watching that sporting event than the NFL or the Super Bowl. But
right.
you're right, it's fast becoming an international sport as well, like basketball.
Yeah, and the beauty of it, especially when you're talking about bowl season, is there's very little fragmentation in the distribution of it, right? ESPN, the parent at least, owns the majority of the broadcasts, if not all of them. I think the national championship is the only one that moves around on networks. So essentially, they control all of the international distribution rights. So someone in Timbuktu, bad example, but whatever, could, for all intents and purposes, watch the Cure Bowl, right? And enjoy that because it's on the family of ESPN. And I don't want to dive too much into exactly which countries have which rights, but it's 30 some odd days of college football as the most important thing. There's
Yeah,
hardly any pro football mixed in there. There's certainly not
yeah,
the international side because we're in the playoff push.
yeah,
And it's really interesting. So the more exposure you get, the more we're bringing that awareness to your core value in the Cure Bowl, which
yeah,
is raising that money for cancer research.
yeah.
And for those of you who haven't watched the Cure Bowl, it's an amazing juxtaposition because you have these big dudes, right? And obviously in their team uniforms, but they're all playing on a hot pink stadium, right? For all intents and
Real men
purposes,
wear
you paint
pink,
it
right?
pink.
Real men wear pink. Yeah.
There you go. And so you actually, you with your connections, with your charm, with your storytelling, were able to get something done that no one has ever been able to do. Talk about the football itself.
Yeah, it is truly amazing. The uh, the acceptance has been great. Getting all of our sponsors, as you say, when you walk in the stadium, it's Cure Bowl pink and white, and to educate everybody, we're using the power of pink because breast cancer awareness is the strongest as the awareness, and pink resonates with the United States of America as a cancer cause color that is aligned with cancer. However, Dr. Khalid's research, even using breast cancer tissue, is having positive results in pediatric cancers and cancers in other tissues and organs. So we're using the power of pink to try to solve cancer. So I want to make sure people understand that. But it is hot pink and white, and we get everybody to drop colors because this is the goal. We want everybody focusing on and coming together for one common cause and one goal. So it's an honor, and it is amazing that everybody is buying into that and continuing to do that. We're hoping to take it to another level. We can always sell more tickets, right? So
Absolutely.
that is very important. But I do want to go back to what you said, Jessica. It is bowl season. I liken it to December Madness. So we're in it right now, right? March Madness is March Madness, but the championship games in April. And for the bowl season, we have December Madness championship games in January.
Yeah.
So all the attention that March Madness and college basketball is getting, we love that for bowl season in December. What I call December Madness. We haven't really coined it like that. It's bowl season, which I get, but it truly is. It's December Madness. There's a bowl game on almost well every weekend for sure, but quite a
Yeah.
few nights during the week, right?
Yeah, I think it's almost every day for 3 weeks. There's at
Uh,
least one game, with the exception of Christmas Day, I think. And then the bits between the playoff at the toward
yeah,
the going toward the national championship.
that's great.
Um, but yeah, it's December Madness is a great concept. I love that. You know what? One thing that I thought about as you were talking is we need to have a massive, especially with the soccer presence in Orlando. How cool would it be to have a curable soccer event?
We actually, Cesar Lopez, who is a deputy there with Orlando City Lions and Orlando City Pride, we are talking about that. I think you're aware that the Orlando Sports Foundation puts on 14 events. Our signature event is the Cure Bowl, but we do high school all-star games in Central Florida that involves all the counties. We call them our Cure All-Stars. And we do the big three: football, basketball, baseball, and we do them for women. So it's football and then flag football for the girls, baseball for the boys, softball for the girls, and then basketball for both boys and girls. And soccer is our next event. And we are working with the Orlando City Lions, Orlando City Pride, and working to make that happen out actually at Heritage Park in Kissimmee. Yeah.
That's super cool. We're gonna put a picture of this up. I'm gonna have you send a photo, but you need to talk us through the pink lace football.
The pink lace football. I have it in here. It is it took about 3 years to get it through, but we finally got the NCAA to approve us having pink laces on a football. And they were really struggling with it because they felt like, oh man, now everybody's going to be asking for it once that gets on national television. But I think that's kind of the story of my life. At least that's what my wife says. Linda says that if I want something, it's probably going to happen because I'm just going to wear her down until she says yes. And so I kept grinding on the NCAA there. I won't mention the names of the guys because I don't want anybody calling them. But yeah, I kept working on them and talking about the cause. And I think once they saw that it was going to continue, we weren't just going to be a flash in the pan, that they agreed to doing that. So we kick off the Cure Bowl with a pink lace ball. It's the only time it's used, just for the initial kickoff. Once it's kicked off, we retrieve it and we get that signed by both coaches, and we auction it off actually at our kickoff luncheon in August every year. And it's been a nice item to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coaches are all involved in it, and we actually have two pink lace footballs, and they are NCAA balls. They just happen to have pink laces, and both teams kick them. Their kickers kick with them during full week practice while they're here in Orlando. And then obviously after the coin toss, we know we're picking up one of the balls and the other one's going to be kicked.
Yeah, and it's super cool. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, and we'll put it in the write-up, and we'll flash it here on the podcast itself. It's weird. It's weird because you see it and you're like, wait, are those laces, are they pink? It's so cool. And then, but what I love though is everything you do is it's with so much purpose to bring it back, right? You have it signed, you auction it off. We'll put the auction link because you guys do the online auction too,
We
right?
do. We do.
We'll put that link in the write-up and make sure that people know how to find that for anyone who's watching and wants to support the Cure Bowl. I mean, it's such an impressive game, and it's so important for me to be a part of, just given my history with breast cancer myself. When we first talked, I was like, how have I not been involved with this game for the past 5 years? And now we're coming up on year 10 or year 11, I guess will be this year. Last year was a great, huge celebration. It was a super fun game from what I heard. I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. So
on the games, I will say, and I think your listeners would like to hear this probably. It's something that Jamie Say, who's our local CBS affiliate, and also she does she was a part of the all women's, all female radio team. That was the first for the Cure Bowl as well. We were the first college anything from a college football standpoint to have an entire female crew do the game, from the sideline reporter to the color analyst to the play-by-play. And Jamie Say has been a part of our play-by-play. And Jamie and I were at the press conference probably 5 or 6 years into the game, and she was saying, she goes, all these games are close, and this is the reason why. Listening to the players, it's almost like Alan, you handed them a script and they're reading it, but everybody's got a story, right? And so that's the thing that we all have to understand is cancer doesn't discriminate. I'm just going to say that again. Cancer does not discriminate. Everybody's been touched by it in some form or fashion. If it's not you personally, somebody that has been touched by it. Yeah. And it's the number one, outside of congestive heart failure, it's the number one killer on the planet. For men, it's prostate cancer. For women, it's breast cancer. For both genders, it's lung cancer, right? So outside of that, I mean, so that fact, when you hear the players at the press conference talk about the game itself and the cure bowl and its meaning, they all get personal because they all have a story, and they're playing for something bigger than themselves and even bigger than their team. For them personally is that person that they're going to dedicate this game to. And so all the cure bowls have been relatively close, except for when my alma mater was in it. It was actually close for a little bit. They got a punt blocked and got a little out of hand. But except for that game, that was our second game, all of them have been very close. A couple of one overtime, in fact, and all of them down to the wire. So we really believe that it is that fight that the players have beyond, it's bigger than themselves.
Yeah, and there's even a point in the game during one of the media breaks, which people don't get to see because TV's at commercial, where we have people hold up their signs. So
Yeah.
the fans do it, the players do it, the
Yep.
coaches.
Yep.
It's so powerful when you see it. And to your point, to be part of something bigger than yourself is, I mean, not to like over dramatize it, but it's kind of the meaning of life, right? Like be part of something bigger than yourself, because if not, what's the point, right?
Yep.
So anyone out
Absolutely.
there who is not
Absolutely.
part of something bigger,
Yep.
yours can be the cure bowl,
Yep.
and then there you go. So
Yep.
this is so fun talking to you because we talk and it's always very technical and all game related. I love those conversations, but this is super fun too. You've brought up Linda quite a lot, and you're very lucky from the outside looking in on everything that you guys do it together, right? There's no,
We do.
this is my career and she's kind of following along with me and whatever. And you guys seem to have a really great grasp on that balance and plugging your wife's accomplishments. And I'm sure she does the same for you. How have you been able to navigate that? Because this is something we don't get to hear about, especially from coaches or executive directors. Like it's always about the football and the sponsorships and everything else, but family is important too. How does that affect what you do, and how'd you make it work?
Well, I think we make it work because it's just a part of our lives. We every just about every meal, there's something about sports, and we love it. Linda was a gymnast, played flag football and intramurals in high school. Wasn't even played in the band. Not even, but
I knew I liked her.
band chick, right? She's a band chick too. So, um, but she understands athletics, understands the power of it, uh, of it, understands pain threshold. If you're a gymnast, you're knocking your head on the balance beam, right? So she understands all that. So we've been able to talk about sports. We were friends before we were dating, right? And so it's just always been a part of our lives, and talking about different ways that we could do it better. She would talk about things that I would use in my coaching, and she would do the same, especially when it came to recruiting. She would say, we don't really do a signing. I think that would be cool to do. We should do our own signing thing. So she created a letter of intent that was actually modeled by our NCAA college football letter of intent for
Cool.
cheerleading. Yeah, to try to take it to that level. So that's just one example of many. But we're both also big John Wooden fans. John Wooden was the pyramid of success guy, and he did it from a teacher standpoint. And Linda was at College of Education at UCF as well. And so we both got our degrees in education from UCF, and we understand the power of education and how that can change lives, how important it is for all communities to have great education and great education programs. But we love doing it through sport. It's just obviously there's something a little different when you're educating using a bench as discipline, for example, or using the court or the field for the event itself, and also using it as a reward, or a
Yeah.
spirit snack, as Linda would say. She
Spirit
goes, "I'm
snack.
down. I need a spirit snack."
Oh, wow. Love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, I mean, yet another team you've built.
Yeah, it's been fun, be a part of her stuff. And obviously, when I was coaching, we would, the charters set together sometimes. The team her cheer team would come with the team back in the day, and yeah, I mean, we were both going out trying to win the game, and you can't do it without banners and flags and bands. It's all a part of it. The art of war, Shinzu. We read that, talked about that, and the importance of that, and it is important,
Yeah.
just like bowl games are important for kids. So it's just another extension and an opportunity for these young people to be able to extend the experience.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. A lot of people, there's a lot of haters out there say, "Oh, there's so many bowl games, blah blah blah," and it's like, and yet you complain when the season is over. But also, I think people forget that, it's so easy to turn on your TV on what's now become Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and see football that
Yeah,
feels commonplace. But for these kids, I mean, some of them are only able to go to college because they're
yeah,
playing football.
yeah,
They've maybe gotten out of a bad situation because
yeah,
they're playing football at a
yeah,
school.
yeah,
But also, forget all that. They love the game. They're willing to
yeah,
put their body on the line,
yeah,
work harder
yeah,
probably than anyone else, get out there for fans that could very well boo them that day,
yeah, yeah,
right? And yet,
yeah,
then we're expecting them to just drop it cold turkey in the last game of their senior year, throw everything you've ever learned about teamwork out the window. You're done. We lost. It's over. No, give them one more shot. That means more than the win or the loss.
yeah, absolutely right. Those haters out there, or those that just don't understand because they've never been in that position, right? They've
Yeah.
never been in the position where they're working with a team like that. You've got media people that are that way. They're media people, and I'm not, we got to have them, right? All of us have got to be able to promote what the good of the game. But it is disappointing when you get some media people that just want to throw down on or hate on it.
Yeah.
I can tell you, when we were starting this process, was being interviewed by a few different people around the country and some locally that said, yeah, don't you think there are people out there that say there are too many bowl games? And I say, well, if there were, they wouldn't be on television. The only
True.
reason they're on is because you almost can guarantee your sponsors 1.4 million people will watch a bowl game. It's about the average for that. And sponsors are going to pay for that. That's why these games are on, because there is interest, contrary to one media person who may think there shouldn't be so many.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. When the playoffs expanded from 4 to 12, there was a lot of I don't know, people aren't going to be paying enough attention to bowl season. Well, that wasn't the case. It actually increased viewership. So yeah, the pundits out there, yeah, obviously they don't know if they haven't been there, right? And I
Yeah.
can tell you this, for any media person, right, that would even think something like that, if it was their dad that was the coach, or
Oh,
their sister was in the
yeah.
band, or a cheerleader, or a dancer, or a flag waver, or a trainer, or an assistant coach, or maybe on the field as an official, right? So there are so many people are involved with football, and that's one of the reasons for the popularity of it. I mean, some of your just diehard alum fans, ticket buyers, are the college football bands. We just
Yeah.
had Jacksonville State in the game, 590 members, right? There were more family members buying tickets from band than football, right?
Yeah.
So you can't discount anyone. Why be disrespectful to anyone?
Right. Yeah.
And
No.
cancer does not discriminate, right? Doesn't just attack a football player, it attacks band members too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I remember fielding questions of where are we sitting? Where is our band gonna sit? Are they gonna play to this sideline or that sideline? Because I
Yeah,
want to sit in the right spot to
yeah,
watch the band, which is phenomenal. I mean, yet again, another set of people that
yeah,
football touches. And the
yeah,
more we talk cancer and football, kind of what a
yeah.
concept, go hand in hand.
Absolutely. You don't see band members get up and walk out in the third quarter because the team is winning big or losing big. I mean, they're some of your most dedicated fans,
True.
and they will be forever because they've
Yeah.
been there, they've seen them, right? They've been there. They're there for football and basketball for sure, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty
True.
cool. That's
Yeah. I
good
mean,
stuff. Yeah,
I could speak firsthand on that. I was in the Herd of Thunder. That's how I got into, that's what launched me into an athletics career,
awesome.
which, yeah, it's crazy to think. And, it's
Power of music, power of
power
music.
of power of music, art, sport, all of it.
Yeah,
It just all comes together like a beautiful little DNA
that's
strand.
right. That's right.
There's so many parallels you can draw. But
Yeah,
one of the things you said before about the media being the pundits, but today everybody is a
oh yeah,
critic, right? The power of this little guy, the cell phone on everyone's hand, everyone's got an opinion and everyone thinks they're so important. But
their
if you
own
haven't
television studio, right?
Exactly. I mean, if you haven't seen how the sausage is made for a bowl game, if you haven't seen these kids, I mean, over here in Tampa, we've had kids never see the ocean or a large body of water
Right,
until they've come to
right.
the Gasparilla Bowl or something and seen the
Yep,
beach. There's
yep,
kids who have never been to a theme park or
yep,
never been on a plane.
yep,
Think about that. Like
yep,
let's take it down a level even.
yep,
These kids have never been on a plane or have
yep,
never traveled outside of just their we forget some of these schools don't have the
yep,
budget to
yep,
fly their kids
yep,
everywhere.
yep. Yeah, it's amazing what even there was a passing, and obviously not going to name names, but at my alma mater, was really working to try to get them in at the bowl at some point, and they did play in 2016. But there was a assistant athletic director was like in passing, it was like, yeah, it's not. I had heard through the grapevine that this isn't going to be that exciting. These kids are interland, and I remember hearing that, and I remember saying to myself and to the staff, I bet you there's not one player. And that year there was a Magic game at home, and I said, I bet there's not a player that's been to a Magic game. And I also bet there's not a player that stayed on property at Universal. That's where our team stay on property. Now maybe they
Right.
been out to Universal or gone to City Walk, but I bet you they hadn't stayed out on property at Universal.
Which is
And that
very
was the
cool.
case. That was the case. I actually stood at the turnstile at the Magic game to ask the players, "You guys, anybody ever been here?" And everybody's shaking their head. One kid had been to the Kia Center for a fraternity sorority gathering, but no game. So that's
Yeah,
just another example. And even right here in your own hometown, you get some people that are. It's disappointing, that like you say, the haters that are out there. But let's not talk about them anymore. But let's talk about the positives of it. And bowl
absolutely.
season gives a great platform for so many. And even
Yeah.
those kids, I'd like to say this, Jessica, and as you alluded to it, with bowl season, there are players that do opt out and understood, if they're a first round draft pick, that's what they want to do. I can hear it a little bit. I do like what Nick Saban said a long time ago that your best, because he heard a player that was saying that I'm going to get ready for the combine. And he was like, you get ready for the combine by playing games. And that is true. But the other thing that's there, if that player's got, there's always that next player, right? And that opportunity that next person gets, it's an amazing opportunity. And let's
Yeah,
let's talk about that, and what a great
absolutely.
opportunity that young man has, from a bowl season standpoint, to be able to play in the game. And you got to look
That's
at the
tremendous.
positives. They're there, right?
Yeah, they're there. And I think, there were a few case studies from last year where those kids had standout games.
Yes.
They had best game ever,
Yeah.
even beating maybe some of what they're starting, like the guy ahead of them
Happens.
would have done. It's
That's right.
incredible. It's so great to see the energy. Like, I don't at the Cure Bowl, I don't interact too much with the players, but without fail, when they run onto that field, it may as well be homecoming. It may as well be the biggest game of the biggest, for them. And that's something I don't think that they can really ever shut off, right? It's just like anyone. When they get in that zone, they're in that zone, whether it's in front of their mirror or running out in front of, thousands of people who are watching them or about to watch them play. So it's so exciting to be part of it. And again, with all the other pieces that come into it, especially with the Cure Bowl. So here's a tough question for you. Okay. out of 30 plus years in athletics as player, coach, administrator, fundraiser, CEO, executive director. We didn't even talk about their time with the AFL. So, like, what is your favorite story?
Favorite story? Gosh. I probably get emotional a little bit if I talk about it. So I don't know if I can, but I will tell you a lot of there are so many great stories. So many great stories out there, so many great people to be involved. But I will share this story because it is the story that I think we all might understand deep down. I remember the first year we were going to have the Cure Bowl, and obviously, I got a cool title, right? But I'm really the head ticket seller, right? And my goal is to sell this thing out someday to get everybody to show up, regardless of who's playing in the game. This is a fundraiser. It's a football game, but it's a fundraiser, right? And so we're celebrating Orlando Cures Cancer Day as Cure Bowl Day, as proclamated by our mayor Buddy Dyer here in Orlando. That has done that. He's been a great supporter. So is Jerry Demings, the mayor, the Orange County mayor. We've had so many great supporters. But the first year, we're going to kick off the first Cure Bowl, and we've got Georgia State representing the Sun Belt Conference. And that year there weren't enough bowl eligible teams, so we were going to get a 5-7 team. But I think the NCAA has got a great way to make sure that the bowl system continues, and they're going to award the highest APR, academic performance record, to the team with a 5-7 team. So they're ranked. The 5-7 teams are ranked by academic performance, and so that year we were going to get the 5-7 team. Typically, most years there's always enough bowl eligible teams, but this year it just didn't happen to be. And since we were the new kid on the block, we got the 5-7 team that year. 5-7 was San Jose State. They did a great job in the classroom. But I remember hearing, when I heard that, and I was talking with our conference office and conference office at the Mountain West. I was disappointed. I wanted to have a bowl eligible team and all of that. But there's always a plan, right, for why you have it. And so there's a punter on the team. I can't think of his name right now, but he was a Ray Guy punter, and I think he won the Ray Guy Award, but he was certainly a finalist for it. His mom was battling breast cancer, the punter for San Jose State. She was not able to attend his last game as a senior at San Jose State because the chemo was just too much, right? And so when San Jose State was given the opportunity to play in our bowl game, they were able to fly her down.
My God, dude, that cuts deep.
Yeah. But I was disappointed that we were getting San Jose State. Didn't realize that all this was going to happen.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And look, and it's stories like that. I mean, and just for the record, I didn't know that was the story you were going to tell, but wow, the stories like there are so many like that. Right. And that goes back to when we say how so many people are touched by it, and you just never know that being part of something bigger than yourself, That's wow, that's great. And it's tough when you get dealt like necessarily that hand of the team that's less than bowl eligible, but not only that, but from clear across the country, it's not close where you might get extra people traveling in, but then to have a story like that, I'm sure the impact of that goes far beyond the news cycle, right? So it's
and I will also say it was a great opportunity to walk in to welcome the team here in Orlando. And I remember I am standing at the Royal Pacific Hotel in the ballroom in front of the team, congratulating them on coming. And I reminded them that you wouldn't be here if you hadn't gotten done in the classroom. College football is great, but you're here for an education.
Yeah.
And this team is only here because you got it done in the classroom. This team had the highest GPA, and you're here because of that. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Should be the goal of every team, because you just never know. Football is a crazy shaped ball, right? It bounces a lot of different ways. And so you never know, win or lose, or official makes a bad call or whatever. Somebody
Yeah.
drops a pass, somebody makes a sack. You just don't know what's going to happen.
No.
But if you get it done in the classroom, you got an opportunity to maybe control your destiny. You just never know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And with the way that the way with that this NIL world is going, classroom seems to have come in second, but hopefully we can continue to push that and relate back to stories like that where, you're 100% right. I mean, what's crazy, and a lot of people don't know this who would probably be watching this podcast, is how bowl selection happens. So you have to win at least 6 games within your season, right?
Correct.
But you're also, even with those 6, you're not necessarily guaranteed,
No.
right? I think the year you're
No.
talking about, didn't like the SEC disqualify each other? Like there were so many teams that dropped out of bowl contention because of it, that
Yes.
other teams
This
got
happened.
pulled up. And then ultimately, everyone, you pull up from the top. So
Yeah.
this next conference goes up, this one comes up, and then we're here in year one of the Cure Bowl with a 5-7 team who was otherwise not bowl eligible, but now it matters. And even further than that, I think, the player that's on the field with that backdrop, that background of having the education. I never like to say like a plan B. I say burn the boats. You go on plan A, burn the boats, you can't go back. But it's not the worst thing in the world to have a little dinghy kind of parked over there just in case, it doesn't work out. You're going to play more confidently. You're going to play less scared. You have the fallback option in your education if you're not going to go pro. And let's be real. I mean, I think by the time these guys are seniors, they know if they're going to have a career
Sure.
post college, but
And I
that's even
think we
more the
all,
reason.
I think the stat is out there, Jessica, to your point, less than 1% or about 1% of all in football, for example,
Right.
college football players play in the NFL, but it's that the media picks up on or talks about the most.
Yeah.
And it's just not, the NCAA has done a pretty good job of promoting and making sure that people understand that most of the 99% of those playing their sport are going to do something else other than pro sport, right? And
Right.
they're going to go pro in engineering or computer science, or whatever business or whatever that happens to be, whatever their skill set is or whatever their interest is. But that's one of the things that's just great about college athletics, in my opinion. It's a case, but of course, there we are going pro in college, right? So they're professional athletes. Let's just call it what it is as it moves forward. The House versus the NCAA ruling is coming down Monday, ironically, on the day the national championship is going to be played for basketball, for college basketball. But I do believe that there should be an opportunity if if a school is going to have a jersey made with a kid's name on it, then there should be some revenue share. Should it be 100%? No. Everybody, even those student athletes, needs to understand that somebody had to build the stadium, somebody has to make the shirt, or what,
Your
paint the
school's not
field. There are
free. Yeah.
costs and expenses, and you're going to have to pay taxes on that. So this is a good learning experience. Still, I think we can make it, but I do believe that for all this to work, it's going to have to be a collective bargaining agreement, though. You can't just come and go as you want, opt out when you want. That's
Right.
just, that doesn't happen in professional sports. And and this is professional sports now at another level, but there's got to be a collective bargaining agreement. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And you know what? And it's of all the things, college athletics is probably poised best to do it because there is that governing body already in
Let's
place
teach.
and
Let's teach.
teach
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Something you just said was amazing, and I think should be the NCAA's next campaign is go pro in ... engineering, accounting,
Yeah.
law, whatever. I love that concept for student athletes to highlight the classroom being as meaningful as it should be.
Yeah.
Um, and one more thing you said too is that less than 1% of college football players will go pro. And let's put that in perspective. Pro football is the biggest opportunity. It's got the most player spots available in professional sports, right? So that less than 1% is the highest threshold for any of the collegiate sports. There are some sports that have zero. There is no pro
Yeah.
for
Well, yeah,
football.
for the largest number, that's right. But the ratios would, for basketball, it's smaller numbers. So the ratios for the sport are probably right in line. But you're
True.
right. It does involve the most people.
Right. Exactly. Well, this has been awesome. What a pleasure to talk to you. I always enjoy it, but this has been next level, I think. So, real quick before we wrap up, tell me and whoever's watching and listening, what are you working on? How can people get involved? This is your moment. Pitch
Yeah,
away.
thank you
Shameless
so much,
plugs.
Jessica. Yeah, we can't, as we said, it takes an army to be able to do this stuff for sure. And that's all bowls. And all bowls have great causes right here in town. Florida Citrus Sports that has the Cheez It Bowl and the Pop Tarts Bowl. Yeah, they do a great job with their foundation called Lift that raises money to create a better atmosphere in and around the stadium downtown. For the whole neighborhood, and they're doing a great job of that. We happen to be focused on cancer research, and so all bowls typically have some type of partner. Their work, the Orange Bowl, for example, they build so many great youth fields down in the southeast Florida.
Yeah.
My hat's off. It's been doing it since the 30s. It's
Yep.
great. We're focused on cancer research. Go to www.curebowl.com. You'll see all you can see and need to see about Cure Bowl. There are links in there that also take you back to orlandosportsfoundation.org, which is the group that puts on the other events other than the Cure Bowl. Cure Bowl obviously stands on its own, and it's a signature event of which we are an ESPN events partner. And I would be remiss to say that ESPN, to your point, they are so heavily invested in college football, right? They televise, I believe it's 35 of the 43. They own the rights to the college football playoff. They own and operate 17 bowls. They have management agreements with 4, of which we're one. And they get it, right? They understand the power of college football, and that's why they're so heavily invested. And my hat's off to them for taking it to the level it is. You wouldn't have the viewership numbers if it wasn't for the commitment by ESPN and ESPN events. So they've been great partners. So the Cure Bowl, please, that is a great event. But we also have a lot of other events, the high school all-star events that we did touch on. But our race to cure is in Oviedo. Go to orlandosportsfoundation.org. You'll see that it's going to be in October. I believe it's October 18th. But go to orlandosportsfoundation.org and sign up to be a part of our race to cure. It helps us not only brand what we're doing and educate people about Cure Bowl, but raises money for cancer research. And that thing needs to get bigger. We need to continue to grow that. And I believe that we will. We've grown it each year, but we need to keep growing it.
I love that. Well, we'll make sure we link off to everything you just talked about. This has been fantastic. Thank you again so much.
Thank you,
Um,
Jessica.
and we will rock and roll again this year for Cure Bowl.
Awesome.
All
Go
right,
Cure
great.
Bowl.